Hello friends, welcome back to JK Shah classes, Aware and the Enterprise. Today we will be revising this chapter called Search and Seizure and Survey Proceedings. There are three concepts in this chapter, chapter 13C of CA Final, Direct Tax. Search and Seizure, search is nothing but income tax raid, search and seizure go hand in hand if you recollect. Without search there cannot be seizure. And survey is like a surprise visit. It's a separate proceeding governed by section 133A. Total sections are section 132, 138. Starting with search, in this chapter there are 13 concepts. If you study this chapter in an organized manner, then then you can capture this chapter very easily. Theory questions are asked from this chapter. Practical questions are also asked. Practical questions with regards to timings, time limit. Okay, search. As far as search is concerned, search can be conducted anytime. Search can be conducted in the middle of the night also, early morning also, in the daytime also, working hours also, beyond working hours also. Can be conducted in assessee's residential premises also and commercial premises also. Whereas survey can be conducted, which is like a surprise visit or rehearsal of search. Survey can be conducted only at office premises where business profession is going on, and that too only during working hours. One by one, search we are starting with section 132, search and seizure. 132 section is divided into two parts. First part is what are the circumstances under which search is possible. So in order to conduct search, first of all there should be officer having strong information, and based on that information should be so strong that based on information he has a reason to believe that so and so has happened, and based on that reason to believe he has to approach higher authority and take the approval to conduct the search. Approval will be called as search warrant. In technical language it is called warrant of authorization or search authorization. Okay, so authorized officer, in consequence of information in his possession, has reason to believe three circumstances under which search is possible. Important from exam perspective, theory question, you will have to memorize. What are the three circumstances? Number one, authorized officer has a reason to believe that any person to whom summons under section 131(1) or a notice under 142(1) has been issued to produce or caused to be produced any books of accounts documents, that person has failed to or omitted to produce or caused to be produced such books of accounts documents. Second point is on a similar lines. Whenever authorized officer has a reason to believe that a particular person to whom summons under section 131(1) or a notice under 142(1) has been issued or might be issued to produce or cause to be produced any such books of accounts documents, that person will not produce or cause to be produced such books of accounts documents which may be useful or relevant for any proceeding under the Act. What is the difference between first point and the second point? The difference is that in first point summons or a notice has been issued and such person has failed to, past tense, and here search possible if summons or a notice might have been issued. This is for people like Dawood Ibrahim, Vijay Mallya, those who are absconding, not available in the country, and there is an information that this person is not going to come back and reply or provide books of accounts documents. So it's pointless to give opportunity to such people, or pointless to issue them notice and give them 30 days of time limit to respond back. In such situation, after notice or without summoning, without issuing summons, without issuing notice, straight away search, because there is information such person will not produce. Most of the cases in real life, search takes place because of the third possibility. The authorized officer has a reason to believe that any particular person is in possession of money, bullion, jewelry, valuable article or a thing, and such assets wholly or partly represent any income or a property which has not been disclosed or which would not have been disclosed for the purposes of this Act. Meaning thereby, only having possession of money, bullion, jewelry is not enough to conduct search. I am also having money in my possession, 100 rupee note. That doesn't mean that search to be conducted. Search to be conducted only when person is in possession of money, bullion, jewelry, plus it represents income or a property which has not been disclosed. It represents undisclosed money. That was the first point. There are 13 concepts. First concept is over. Second concept is what are the 10 powers available during the course of search. 10 powers are unimportant, questions don't come. It is 9 plus 1, 10 power. 9 are positive power, 10th is a negative power. This power not available. Number 1, during the course of search, they can enter and search any place, building, vessel, vehicle, aircraft, wherever they have a reason to suspect that books of accounts, documents or assets have been kept. Enter and search. Well, this is specifically given so that nobody argues in the court of law that how income tax authorities can enter my building, can enter my flat without my permission at 2 o'clock middle of the night. Power to break open the lock whenever keys are not made available. They will not break open the lock immediately. First of all, if the keys are not available, they will give sufficient time to the assessee to search for the keys of what? Keys of door, box, lockers, almiga, vessel, container, motor car, etc. If keys are finally not available after searching for it for reasonable time, then department will try to arrange for a duplicate key maker. If that doesn't happen, finally they will break open. Third point, they have a power to search three types of people. Number one, those who are already inside the building, vessel, place, vehicle, aircraft which is being searched, or the person who's just got out of such building, place, vessel, vehicle, or person who's about to get into such vessel, vehicle, place, building, etc. Three types of people: person who's already inside, person who's just come out of, person who's about to get into. Okay, person who's just come out of can also forcibly be taken inside, that please come inside, we have to ask you some questions, what were you doing inside. Fourth, fifth and sixth are with regards to books of account. Fourth, fifth and sixth, if books of accounts are maintained in an electronic form, then these officers can require the assessee, like Tally, Zoho software, then these officers can require the assessee to provide them with the necessary inspection facility, to inspect, like provide password, or if it is not Tally or Zoho, some other accounting software, then they can require assessee to explain them, or the accountant of the assessee to explain them how to operate it, if maintained in an electronic form. If maintained in a physical form, then they can do three things. They can put tick marks. Tick marks means they can place marks of identification on books of documents, books of accounts or documents inspected by them. They can make copies therefrom, they can take extracts therefrom, and in any case, whether in a physical form or electronic form, they can seize such books of accounts documents. As far as assets are concerned, two possibilities, 7th and 8th point. 4, 5, 6 for books of accounts, 7th and 8th for assets. Assets, as far as assets are concerned, two possibility. It is not necessary that whenever search is conducted, they have to seize the asset. They may not seize the asset. They may just come and make a note of or take inventory of. Note of means they will actually count, physically count how many assets were present, what was found, what was not found, how many assets were found, what is the approximate market value, when were they purchased, what could be the cost of acquisition, etc. And taking a note of or taking inventory means where physical counting is not possible, then they will rely on books of accounts entry. They will start with opening plus purchase minus sales. That is called taking inventory. Of what? Of money, bullion, jewelry or other valuable article or thing found during the course of search. Immovable properties are not covered, unfortunately, only movable assets. So 7th, they can make a note of, they can take inventory of, they will not seize. And 8th point, they say they can seize also, can be seized. However, one very important thing, they cannot seize any asset forming part of stock in trade of the business of the assessee, that cannot be seized. And 9th power is they can record the statement of any person, they can examine any person on oath. What is oath? Previous chapter I had explained you in section 131. 131 section, where officer doesn't come to you, officer will call you, you come here. Here he will retain books of accounts documents for 15 working days, if you recollect. And in 132 search, officer will come to you and he will seize books of accounts documents or assets. Here books of accounts documents as well as assets can also be seized. Assets, and they will record statement of any person on oath. Under 131 section also, statement recording used to take place on oath. Whenever statement recording takes place on oath, assessee cannot retract his statement, cannot change his statement. Otherwise, previous statement so made by him will also work as an evidence. Okay, whosoever is found to be in possession or control of books of accounts, documents or assets, his statement can be recorded and that statement can subsequently be used as an evidence in any proceeding under the Act. I told you 9 plus 1, 10 power. This is the second concept we are discussing. First concept was circumstances. 3 circumstances under which search is possible. Second is powers, which is unimportant. Last is a negative power. Business premises cannot be sealed, that is shop, showroom, godown, factory, warehouse cannot be sealed and no person can be arrested as a result of search. Stock in trade cannot be seized, business premises cannot be sealed, meaning thereby business of the assessee should not be affected because of search. Show must go on. Now, whether assessee or anybody can demand for copy of reasons recorded or not. AO can conduct search only if he has a reason to believe based on information, in consequence of information. Can assessee demand for copy of reasons? Please show me, why did you conduct search? Who gave you information? Why did you feel that search should have been conducted? Earlier also, department was never providing copy of reasons. Now also will never provide copy of reasons or explanation. Is that act was silent? But in 2017 Finance Act, retrospectively from 1st April 1962, this explanation was inserted, which was applicable earlier also, but it was not there in the act, saying that department is under no obligation to provide copy of reasons to anybody. Reason to believe recorded by authority shall not be disclosed to any person, authority or tribunal, but can be disclosed to High Court and Supreme Court. For courts, they can disclose, they can't disclose it to CIT appeal or tribunal, etc. Now 292CC, unimportant point, this will be discussing in some other chapter, not right now. Constructive seizure is a third concept, very important from exam perspective, institute's favorite, that's why I am writing, not only important, very important. Theory questions are asked, word to word you have to reproduce. There are 4 points in this third concept. Institute calls it as deemed seizure, but as per act it is to be called constructive seizure. Constructive seizure or deemed seizure, whereby it is not actual seizure, asset will remain with the assessee only, department will not seize and take it away with themselves due to various reasons. Now this section or this concept is divided into 2 parts. For some reasons asset is not seized, that is governed by proviso to section 132(1), second proviso to 132(1), and some part is governed by 132(3). It says whenever it is not practicable or possible to seize a particular asset and remove it to a safe place due to 4 reasons: due to volume of that asset, weight of that asset, physical characteristics or dangerous nature, then rather than seizing that asset, the authorized officer will not seize, will retain the asset with the assessee or the owner, but will issue a prohibitory order prohibiting the owner or any person whosoever is in possession or control, prohibiting the owner from removing that asset or parting with it or otherwise dealing with it except with the approval of authorized officer. Meaning thereby we are not seizing it, but we have seized it. We are not taking it away along with ourselves, but we have seized it. You don't sell it, you don't gift it to anybody, don't do anything, don't mortgage, don't pledge, don't sell, don't transfer, nothing doing. This is called constructive seizure or deemed seizure. Cannot be applied on stock in trade of the business of the assessee. If you recollect 10 powers, one of the negative power, stock in trade cannot be seized. Normal seizure or actual seizure also not possible, and this constructive seizure also not possible. Third point is 132(3). It says if assets cannot be seized due to some other reason, not practicable to seize any books of account, documents or money, bullion, jewelry for reasons other than those mentioned in second proviso. Second proviso to 132(1) has 4 reasons: volume, weight, dangerous nature, physical characteristics of the asset. Here for any other reason, any reason, you just have to reproduce the concept whether you understood or not. If you understand, well and good, but this is revision lecture, so you may have, in case you have not studied this, you may not have understanding. Understanding is secondary thing, theory questions are asked. For any other reason, if not practicable to seize or remove it to a safe place, then officer will issue prohibitory order, an order which is prohibitory order on the owner or the person who is in possession or control of such money, bullion, jewelry, requiring that person not to remove or part with it or otherwise deal with it except with the previous permission of such officer. This constructive seizure will be valid for a period of 60 days. This you will have to keep it in your mind. 60 days from the date of issue of prohibitory order. Within 60 days, IT officers will come back with the help of fire brigade or some other government department, and they will take the custody, they will bring hydraulic crane or do whatever they want to. Fourth concept is presumption. This is the fourth concept. There are 13 concepts in this chapter. All of them are not important, some of them are important. Presumption is important from exam perspective, theory question. Presumptions means assumption. 132 subsection 4a. Presumptions with regards to what? With regards to books of accounts, documents or assets found during the course of search. Books, documents or assets found during the course of search. 5 presumptions. Number 1, with regards to ownership of books of accounts, documents. Whosoever's custody it is found, assets, books or documents found in your custody, it can be presumed that it belongs to you only, the person from whose custody they have been found. Ownership. Second is with regards to contents. Contents will be believed to be true. contents will be assumed to be true. However, these all presumptions are rebuttable. Rebuttable means assessee can prove them wrong. Primarily, onus will be on assessee to prove that these assumptions are wrong. Rebuttable presumption, as in by default it will be believed like this, but if assessee proves to the contrary with documentary evidence or some evidence, assessee proves that, for example, ownership, assessee proves that this necklace found in my premises does not belong to me. It is not my necklace. I don't know who dropped it. If assessee can prove that this necklace, I am a jeweler or I am a worker, somebody, my client had given it to me to carry out some labor work, then income tax department will cross verify with the client. Client confirms, then assessee will be relieved. Third one is with regards to signature. First one is with regards to ownership, second with regards to contents, third one with regards to signature. If any document has been signed by any person and it seems to have been signed by that person, it can be presumed that it has been signed by that person only. If it can be presumed, if it seems or purports to have been signed by a particular person, it can be presumed that it's been signed by that person only. Fourth one is with regards to handwriting. Anything written on any books of account document which seems to have been written by a particular person, it can be presumed that it has been written by that person only. Last one, which is very stupid, any document which is SEAC, any document which is stamped, executed or attested, which seems to have been stamped, executed or attested by a particular person, it can be presumed that it has been stamped, executed or attested by that person only. These assumptions are reproduced in section 292C also. What happened was, when these presumptions were introduced, the language in the first paragraph says presumptions can be applied with regards to so and so during the course of search. Now in one person's premises, instead of search, survey took place, and during the course of survey under section 133A, AO applied the same provisions, same presumptions in survey for books of accounts documents found during survey. Assessee objected, sorry sir, you cannot apply, my student, no. Assessee objected, sir, you cannot apply same presumptions in case of survey, because it's mentioned here very clearly in 132(4)A that these presumptions can be applied only if books, docs, assets found during the course of search. AO found himself handicapped, complained to government. Government immediately introduced 292C section in some other chapter called miscellaneous provision, retrospectively introduced from 1975, ever since survey was introduced. Word to word this section is reproduced. Only one small correction is that in this section it says found during the course of search, and here in 292C it says found during the course of any proceeding. Now next is requisition, another concept. This was the fourth concept. Fifth concept is section 132A, requisition. Requisition means informing about your requirement. Request in the form of informing about your requirement. What happens is, say income tax department wants some books of accounts documents or assets, books, docs or assets from a particular person. Maybe they wanted these books of accounts documents as a result of search, or as a result of survey, or as a result of assessment, reassessment, rectification, appeal, any proceeding. If income tax department contacted Mr. X, let's say they conducted search on 20th February 25, search is conducted, they are in need of books of accounts documents and assets of Mr. X, but found that on 20th February they found that recently, a week back, 14th February, there was a search conducted by GST department, and whatever books of accounts documents which department, income tax department is looking out for, those documents, assets are seized by GST department. Now imagine, after 1 or 2 months or 3 months down the line, when GST authorities are done with it, they will return back the books of account document to Mr. X, and if income tax department issues notice to Mr. X later, or issues right now that whenever you receive it back from GST department, surrender it to us within 72 hours, then assessee will get 72 hours of time in between to manipulate. Not to let this happen, there is a provision of 132A which says department, income tax department will directly contact GST department that, sir, whenever you people are done with, please do not return back these books of accounts documents, assets to the assessee. We need them, hand it over to us, this is our address. However, this officer may not be GST officer, GST is just an example, it could be any officer. It says 132A section, whenever books of accounts documents or assets of the assessee are taken into custody by any officer under any law or any authority under any law, any officer or authority under any other law, which will include GST officer, customs officer, police officer, fire brigade officer, even our institute's officer is also an officer under any law, even fire brigade officer. Okay, so whenever taken into custody by our institute also, then but taken into custody, then in such situation income tax department will directly contact them. Who will contact? So answer, higher authority. And local level AO, ITO type of person, ITO cannot contact on his own, he cannot be given so much of power. You know, when you are contacting another department, some higher level senior officer has to contact. Senior officer is CCIT, PCCIT, CIT, PCIT, but these people, it is a matter of dignity for them. To maintain the dignity, they will not contact on their own, they will authorize junior officer, subordinate officer, CCIT, PCIT, PCIT, PCCIT will authorize any subordinate income tax authority to make a requisition to GST officer that you go and contact. Let's say they appointed assistant CIT, then Mr. Assistant CIT, you go and contact GST officer. GST officer is of your rank only. Go and contact him and make a requisition that after you people are done with, return it back to us. Few years back, I had come across one case where assessee's motor car was taken into custody by RTO people, Regional Transport Office. Is RTO officer an officer under any law? Answer, yes, he is. So in that case, income tax department got to know about it. So they contacted RTO that the moment assessee comes to get his car cleared by paying the no parking charges, do not return back this car to him. We have seized it, we need it, give it to us. This is called requisition. This is the fourth concept. Is it important from exam perspective? Answer, totally unimportant, but you should be aware of what is requisition, because in upcoming sections, every now and then there will be a reference of this section. Every now and then there will be a reference of this section. So in that case, if you don't know what is requisition, then you will face difficulties in understanding this provision, upcoming provision. Says whenever CCIT, PCCIT, CIT, PCIT has a reason to believe, here also reason to believe, and here also later on there will be an explanation which says copy of reason to believe will not be shared with anybody, will not be disclosed to anybody. Higher officers, in consequence of information and possession, has reason to believe that books of accounts, documents or assets belonging to the person to whom summons or a notice have been issued have been taken into custody by an officer or an authority under any other law other than Income Tax Act. Who has taken into custody? Officer or authority under any law. Then CIT, PCIT, etc. will authorize subordinate income tax authority to make a requisition of such books, docs or assets to officer or authority under any other law. Okay. However, we have only one question which was based on Madhya Pradesh High Court decision of Samta Construction, where what had happened? Samta Construction received demand draft from somebody, Samta Construction Company. They received demand draft from third party made payment by DD. So they deposited the DD with their bank. Demand draft they handed over, voluntarily submitted to bank for clearance purpose. Income tax department got to know, CCIT, CIT they authorized some junior officer to contact bank and get the DD in their custody by making requisition. Can the bank refuse? That kind of question came up. Madhya Pradesh High Court said yes, bank can refuse. Not because banking officer is not covered here. Banking officer is also an officer under any other law. But here the demand draft is voluntarily submitted by assessee to the bank. It is not taken into custody by bank. Okay, and now explanation saying that there's reason to believe recorded by income tax officers shall not be required to be disclosed to any person, authority or any court, but can be disclosed to only High Court, Supreme Court. Okay, now if you can understand section 131 where officer doesn't come to the assessee, assessee is called upon, you come here, assessee has to go there, books of accounts and documents can be seized or can be retained for a period of 15 working days from the date of impounding, 15 working days if you recollect. We just finished a video on income tax authority. Now you have 15 working, assets cannot be called upon. As far as assets are concerned, department has got two methodologies, section 132 search and section 132A requisition from third party. Here this will be from assessee and requisition would be from third party, RTO, bank, etc. Okay, now whatever is seized or whatever is requisition, here what can be seized or requisition? Here all three, books also, documents also, assets also. Books of accounts, documents or assets, whatever is seized, what to do with that? So there are two parts. For books of accounts, we'll have to go back to 132. Right now we just finished 132A, fourth part. Now fifth part, we'll have to go back to, after 132A, we'll go back to 132. And as far as assets are concerned, what will department do with the assets? For that we have a separate section, section 132B. So manner of utilization of things which are seized under section 132 or requisition under 132A. If it is books of account documents, then section 132 subsection 8 till subsection 12, and if it is assets, then section 132B. Assets is very important, questions are asked, important from exam perspective, obviously theory question. So this will be your fifth concept and this will be your sixth concept out of 13 concepts. Manner of utilization of books of accounts and documents. So books of accounts documents in section 131, if you recollect previous chapter last section, they could retain books of accounts documents, originals I am talking about. Photocopies, so I am not talking about only, can be retained for 15 working days, but they can extend it beyond 15 working days also by taking approval of higher authority and after recording reasons. Here books of accounts documents can be retained in the custody for a original, I am talking about photocopy lifetime. Originals can be retained for a period of maximum 30 days from the date of completion of assessment, reassessment or recomputation of search case. Whenever assessment order is passed or reassessment order is passed of the search case under any of these sections, or in fact now it should be section 158 BC and 158 BD also. 158 BC and BD newly introduced from 1st October 2024. 1st October 2024, called as block assessment. It's a separate special assessment in case of search cases. Whenever search is, this is a newly introduced concept. This concept was there earlier also, long back, which Chidambaram and Congress government deleted it. Block assessment concept was there earlier. Congress government got it deleted and replaced it by section 153 ABCD, 153A, 153B, 153C and 153D. Now new government Nirmala Sitharaman ji from this year, she deleted whatever was introduced by Congress and recouped it back to original block assessment, whereby whenever search takes place, current year is the year of search, will be treated as a 7th year, last 6 years plus current year incomplete year, total 6.5 years or whatever, there will be a block, single block of all these 6.5 years or more than 6 years, and assessee will be required to file a single IT return for undisclosed income of all this block period. Block will comprise of last 6 years immediately preceding the year of search plus the current year of search, which will be broken period, incomplete year. Total income of this year, this 6.5 year period or whatever is the period, will be taxed at a flat rate of 60% plus surcharge plus penalty, which we will discuss in upcoming chapter. So can be retained for 30 days from the date of completion of proceeding, unless two reasons: unless prior approval of higher authority is taken, two conditions, and second, reasons are recorded in writing for extension beyond 30 days. Remember, here it's not 30 working days, here is 30 normal days. Preceding chapter last section it was 15 working days, here 30 normal days including Saturday, Sunday, bank holiday. Now it says CIT, PCIT, CCIT, PCCIT shall not give approval for retention beyond 30 days. Beyond 30 days, if all proceedings are completed under the Income Tax Act for the relevant previous year are completed, assessment, reassessment, rectification, payment of tax, everything is done. Thereafter, ideally, officers should not be needing them, should not be needing the original books of account document. They need to be returned back immediately. If approval is given by CIT, CCIT, PCIT, PCCIT, then assessee or the person from whose custody the books of accounts documents were seized, he can object to it. How? He can object to it not by lodging police complaint, he can object it that department is not returning it back to me and CIT keeps on granting approval for extension. Person can approach CBRT in writing, can make an application, no fees, no prescribed form, free of cost. CBRT will give, say I am CBRT and you are assessee, somebody is officer, I don't know any of you, you have approached me that CCIT, CIT is granting extension and doing wrong thing. and CCIT, CIT are also not illiterate people. They also, I will ask them also to explain their part of the story. As CBDT, I will give opportunity to both the parties, and then after giving reasonable opportunity, I will pass an order as I deem fit, as CBDT deems fit. In the meantime, till this proceeding is going on, the person who is legally entitled to books of accounts document can photocopy them, can make copies thereof, can take extracts also. He can photocopy means department will not allow him to take books of accounts back to home, that photocopy and return it back next day. That will not be permissible. Assessee will have to pay some extra charges. Department will photocopy and give it to him. Okay. In any case, in case if say search is conducted in the premises of Mr. A by his AO number 16, who has jurisdiction over Mr. A. Search is conducted in the premises of Mr. A and Mr. A falls under jurisdiction of AO 16. Books of accounts documents are seized from the premises of Mr. A, but later it was found that these books of accounts documents or assets do not belong to Mr. A. All the three books, docs, assets belong to somebody else, Mr. B, who falls under jurisdiction of AO 23. Then AO 16, that is AO of Mr. A, who took the custody of these books of account document, he will have to hand them over to AO having jurisdiction over Mr. B within 60 days from the date of conclusion of search. Conclusion of search means the date on which search ended. 60 days he concluded the search, AO 16. Within 60 days he will have to contact officer AO 23 and hand it over to him that your assessee in your jurisdiction has got this undisclosed income. And then whatever we discuss as above will apply to this successor AO 23 also. 132B, important from exam perspective, manner of utilization of assets which are either seized under section 132 or requisition under section 132A from government officers. Whatever may be, whenever asset is seized or requisition, what will department do? First of all, department during the course of search, department may not seize each and everything. Department will look after only valuable articles or a thing as per information, or at the max money, hardcore cash. Department is not interested in small item. So if I say I bought a wristwatch worth 10,000, department is not interested in questioning me what is the source of 10,000 rupees. I might have invested, it's a negligible amount. But if I bought an expensive item, 5 crore rupee worth of MF Hussain painting, 1 crore rupees of diamond necklace, then department will question me. Again, still during the course of search, it is not necessary that department will seize each and everything. They may not. They may rather make an inventory, or they can take a note of what all things were found, and they can estimate the market value and question assessee later that this so and so was found in your premises, market value so much, why should we not charge you tax on that? So it is not necessary, but is it necessary to provide documentary evidence there and there? If documentary evidences are provided there and there only during the course of search, then AO will not seize only, howsoever expensive the asset may be. It is quite possible that department will take away with them 5 lakh rupee worth of asset, but 5 crore worth of asset they may not seize because it is fully disclosed. In any case, two possibility: after the search is over, assessee approaches department, assessee approaches higher officer, request that sir I will not do it again. He furnishes documentary evidence about the source of acquisition. If assessee approaches department and now furnishes source of acquisition, that sir, this is the copy of bill, this is the copy of bank statement, I made payment from bank account, and that is of 5 crore worth of asset was acquired by me. So please release it. It is a properly disclosed asset. It is recorded in books of accounts also. It is disclosed in IT return also. Then if assessee makes an application within 30 days from the end of the month in which asset was seized, 30 days from the end of the month in which the asset was seized, if seized on 18 January 2025, what is the last date to make application? Let the month end 31st January 2025 plus 30 days. Probably would fall on 2nd March 2025. And assessee also explains the nature and source of acquiring such asset. Assessee makes an application within time limit of 30 days from the date of making, from the end of the month in which asset was seized, and explains the nature and source of acquiring such asset to the satisfaction of AO. Then that asset can be released back to him. First of all, if assessee would have given the documentary evidence there and there only during the course of search, then this asset would not have been seized only at the first place. But even if seized, because assessee could not produce documents there and there, doesn't matter, later on you can get it released. If conditions are satisfied, primarily two conditions: make application to AO within 30 days from the end of the month in which assets were seized, and explain the nature and source of acquiring such asset. Then such asset will be released back to the assessee, but with the prior approval of CIT, CCIT, principal CIT, principal CCIT, and after existing tax liability of the assessee under the act. Existing tax liability, assessee had been absconding, assessee had not been making payment, and now the assessee is trapped as a result of search. Whatever is pending, existing tax liability, outstanding tax liability, everything will be adjusted. Balance, if any, will be refunded back to assessee. Release shall be made within 120 days from the date of execution of last of the authorization for search. Date of execution of last authorization for search means, it is a technical language, understand it very clearly. Such language will come again and again. Date of last issue of execution of last authorization of search means date of conclusion of the search, the date on which search got concluded, search got over. Search may or may not get over on the same day, it may continue beyond 2-3 days also. There have been many instances, nothing new in it, everyone knows about it. Then within 120 days from where? 120 days from the date of requisition or date of conclusion of search, as the case may be, within 120 days. Otherwise, government will pay interest, 0.5% per month or part of a month, simple interest. They don't charge interest on interest, they don't even pay interest on interest. Therefore, if you delay further, don't claim your refund. Either refund will go away lifetime or refund will be granted after making large adjustments. Okay, if government does not refund back within 120 days, then from 121st day onwards, interest will have to be paid by government, 0.5% per month or a part of a month for any delay under 132B subsection 4. But from 21st day of the from the date of conclusion of search, 121st day interest will start from the date of completion of assessment reassessment, as the case may be, assessment or reassessment, or and not till the date of returning back of the asset. Are you clear with the first part? First part, assessee makes application within 30 days from the end of the month in which asset was seized. Asset will be returned back to him, released back to him with the approval of higher authority. But in case if government does not repay back or government does not return back the asset within 120 days, then government will be liable to pay interest. Interest till what date? Not till the date of filing the return. Interest till assessee makes payment of the full amount. In any other case, seized or acquisition asset will be sold off by public auction as per procedure laid down in 3rd schedule to the income tax rules. Asset finally, so if assessee makes application, asset will be released back to him. In any other case would mean assessee does not approach department, he is quite introvert, he got scared, his pants got wet, assessee did not respond, or assessee responded that this is my asset, you have seized it, but so and so reason. If reasons given by assessee are not found satisfactory, then also asset can finally be sold off by public auction and adjusted against other government dues as follows: 1, 2, 3, 4 ABCD against the existing liability under the Income Tax Act, including Black Money Act, with effect from 1st October 24. 1st October 24 Black Money Act was also introduced here. Otherwise, money realized of the asset sold or the existing money will be adjusted against existing liability of the deceased assessee, which does not include advance tax for the for the period explanation 1 to section 132b, advance tax of the next year cannot be called as current liability. Okay. Balance will be adjusted against any fresh liability arising as a result of completion of assessment, reassessment, recompletion. Balance, if any, will be adjusted against other government dues under other act. Other government dues under other act. So suppose any assessee has some 5 lakh rupees of GST pending, is under dispute. In spite of several reminders, assessee has not been paying his 5 lakh of GST. Now he receives, now GST department hands it over to income tax department, then income tax department will help them in recovering tax. Number B, balance if any, nothing will be left, but balance if any will be adjusted against existing liability and then fresh liability arising as a result of completion of such judicial proceeding. Finally, balance left out will be refunded back to assessee, but within how many days or how many months? Logically speaking, amount should be repaid back to the assessee concerned within reasonable time, upcoming days, but it's been clarified it will take 3 months from the date of delivery of asset, otherwise government will pay 68.3 interest, 6% per annum. 3 months from the date of delivery of goods or asset. 6th day onwards, 3 months after that onwards, next day onwards penalty can be charged, and if there is any search conducted, money realized can be adjusted against this liability also. Okay. Then provisional attachment is the next concept. So how many concepts we discussed? This was a 6th concept. Books of account document was a 5th concept. This will be 6th or 7th. Here I forgot to write the number. 4 and 5. 4, 5, now 6, provisional attachment. What is attachment? You know pretty well. Seizing the asset, taking it away with themselves. Provisional means what? What does the word provisional? Similar to what we do in accounts, provision for bad debts, provision for doubtful debts. What is provision? Provision is one type of contingent liability, or it is contingent in nature. On a certain liability, it's contingent. However, when can property be attached? First of all, there are 2 types of attachments before we proceed further. One is called provisional, which we are going to discuss. Another is regular attachment or a normal attachment. When is this possible? Regular attachment is possible only if liability of the assessee materializes, assessee does not make payment, and assessee is declared as a defaulter. Once assessee declared as a defaulter, then property can be attached under regular attachment. And in case where assessee is not yet committed a default is not committed yet, but in anticipation of default that this person will run away, department would like to provisionally attach the property, which is called provisional attachment, valid for 60 days from the date of, valid for particular time limit, which we will discuss. What is the difference? Another difference between regular attachment and provisional attachment. Another major difference is in regular attachment, property can be sold, attached property can be sold off by public auction. But in regular attachment, it is just a temporary arrangement. Department cannot sell it off to anybody. Department can only seize, only put a lock and key, put white color cloth, red color ink, with the court order it can attach. But provisional attachment means a situation where assessee has not yet committed any default, but it is very much likely, department is of the opinion that this person may run away, may evade the tax. Then either during the course of search and seizure or within a period of 60 days from the date of execution of last of the authorization for search, either within 60 days during the concurrency of the search is going on, that time they can provisionally attach any property, or within 60 days from the date of execution of last authorization for search, 1 or 2, whatever is applicable. What can department do? AO can provisionally attach any property. And what is provisional attachment? Provisional attachment means possession will remain with the assessee, but provisionally department has attached it, so that attachment does not become time bar. If the officer is satisfied, this is how it is given, officer is satisfied that for the purpose of or protecting the interest of revenue, for the purpose of or protecting the interest of revenue, if it is necessary to do so, he may, with the previous approval of principal DGIT, principal DIT, by passing an order in writing, provisionally attach any property belonging to the assessee. Who can do it? Authorized officer. How? With the approval of higher authority. When? Answer: when assessee has actually committed any default, then on provisional basis property can be attached. Later on they will see what to do. Property should be returned back to the assessee or permanently with the department. So provisional attachment, this is what they can do. For provisional attachment, the order to be passed within a period of attachment will be valid for 6 months from the date of passing the order of provisional attachment. 6 months from the date of passing the order of provisional attachment. And during the course of search and seizure within a period of 60 days from the date of execution of last of the authorization. What do you mean by 60 days from the date of execution of last of the authorization? I already told you twice, thrice, fourth time I am telling you. This is called as execution of last authorization of search is nothing but conclusion of search from the date on which search is over. Can the search go on beyond 24 hours? Answer: of course, why not? I have seen many cases, plenty number of cases where search is conducted today, goes on full night, next day full night, third day it gets over, possible. Okay, so the authorized officer may make a reference to the valuation officer when this provisional attachment is going on. During the course of provisional attachment, the concerned person may make an application to valuation officer or request AO to make a reference to authorized officer, authorized valuation officer under section 142A, or any other person, entity or wallet or registered valuer under any law is approved by CIT, PCIT. They can do the provisional attachment, or they can not do provisional attachment, they can find out FMV. VO shall then submit his report to AO within a period of 60 days from the date of receipt of reference from AO. VO will have to complete the assessment at the earliest possible. Okay, now as far as this is concerned, provisional attachment you can cancel, questions don't come only. Provisional attachment can be cancelled. This was the 6th point. Now 7th point is about 133 section. Power to call for information. This is also called requisition. Power to call for information. What does this mean? Power to call for information. Here there are 6 subsections. Section 133 subsection 1 till subsection 6, where under different subsection anybody can ask for certain information from government department. Anybody can ask, sorry, this is with regards to cross verification of information. Cross verification. For example, if assessees JK Shah classes, an assessment is going on against them, then whatever information department requires from JK Shah classes, they will do it by issuing notice under 142(1), general notice it is called, that please furnish within 15 days so and so books of account document, or alternatively, summons can be issued under 131(1), summons that we have got so and so information, please explain. What is this section? 133 is basically cross verification. What is cross verification or cross confirmation? For example, you are a student of JK Shah classes. In JK Shah classes books they say 85,000 is the fees received from student. Sorry, 25,000 per student received. Then under 133(6), department in connection with JK Shah classes ka proceeding, they can contact you and confirm it with you whether you have really paid 25,000 or you have paid more than that. Under 133(1), they can ask for the information from the firm about the partners. They can ask information from HUF about the members of HUF. Then AOP BOI, and then AJP, artificial juridical person. Finally comes 133(6), where any information can be called upon from any person. Any information from any person can be called upon which may be useful or relevant for any inquiry or any proceeding which is pending under the Income Tax Act. This sentence is very important, pending under Income Tax Act. Under 133(6), they can ask any information from any person, about any person. They can ask you to furnish information of JK Shah classes. How much fees did you pay? That kind of confirmation can be called upon. That kind of confirmation can be called upon. Any inquiry from any person. So ideally, we study 133(6). Says any information about any person from any person can be demanded which is relevant for any proceeding and which is pending under the Income Tax Act. Against whom should the proceeding be pending? If department issues 133(6), this is also called requisition. If requisition is issued to you asking details about JK Shah classes, then the proceeding should be pending either against you under the Income Tax Act or proceeding should be pending against JK Shah Classes Private Limited, either of them. However, if no proceeding is pending, then this power can be exercised by CIT PCIT or with the approval of CIT PCIT. Let's try to understand in a tabular form. Understand, look up here. If any proceeding under Income Tax Act is pending, then power can be exercised by any income tax authority, but if not pending, then power can be exercised by CIT PCIT himself or with the approval of CIT PCIT. Penalty for failure. So 133(6), it says failure to comply with this 133(6) will attract 500 rupee per day of failure as a penalty. Remember one thing I told you earlier also, whenever assessee does anything wrong, tax, interest, tax will include surcharge and health and education cess also. Tax, surcharge, health and education cess, interest and fee, these punishments are mandatory. If you are caught red-handed with some undisclosed income, AO will charge tax plus surcharge plus health and education cess plus interest on delayed payment plus fees under 234A, B, C, D, E, F, etc. But levying penalty is discretionary power of AO. As in, if AO is satisfied with the reasons for default, then by assessee, AO may not levy penalty. AO may not levy penalty. So, for failure to comply with 133(6), if assessee has strong reason that, sir, I was hospitalized, I had dengue, malaria, I was hospitalized for 1 month, so and so, corona, that HPNV virus, new virus, etc. Proviso of 133, which is not to be done, it says if this information which is required under 133(6) is in connection with agreement with foreign country under section 1998, then no proceeding is pending, then also this power can be exercised. Power can be exercised even if proceeding is not pending. That's it for now. In this session, we are going to discuss in part 1. We are going to revise till here only. The second part, we finish with 7 points out of total 13 points. Next concept will be survey. Survey proceeding has got 3 parts or 3 types of survey, which we will be discussing in the next part. This video I am ending here. Revision of income tax authorities and search and seizure. It's all combined together. Income tax authorities we finish. Search and seizure and survey is going on. I shall see you in the next video in part 2 of this chapter. Thank you very much. Wish you a very good luck. All the best.